The assignment, the giant starship station, hung quietly in space, far from any planet or sun. It was home to hundreds of humans and alien soldiers working together under the Galactic Council's flag. The base was built to protect nearby colonies. But life out here was cold, dark, and lonely. Elias Carter, a young human soldier, sat in the mess hall alone. The place was busy, filled with strange faces and different languages, but Elias barely noticed. He missed Earth, the green fields, fresh air, and the sound of waves. Out here, it was just metal walls and endless silence outside the windows. His squad had just finished another long patrol around the outer sectors. Space was quiet these days, but that made the loneliness worse. Some soldiers started losing focus. Some couldn't sleep. A few even snapped under pressure. To fix this, the Galactic Council announced a new program. Every human would be assigned a comfort companion. These companions were chosen from different peaceful alien species. Their job was simple: help humans deal with stress, give them company, and make sure no one lost their mind in deep space. Most humans laughed when they heard about it. Like, some space babysitter's gonna fix anything. Elias muttered when the order came down. But orders were orders. Late that evening, a message appeared on his compad. Report to Command Room B-17. Companion assignment scheduled. Elias sighed and made his way down the long, gray corridor. Lights buzzed overhead, and the cold floor echoed under his boots. As he entered the room, a tall, slim alien officer handed him a data tablet. Private Elias Carter, this is your assigned comfort companion, the officer said in a flat voice. Elias glanced at the file. The name read Lyra of Villari. He looked up. A figure stepped forward from the shadows. Lyra was small and slender, with pale blue skin and glowing silver eyes. Her long white hair fell over her shoulders. She wore the standard companion uniform, a soft, gray robe with the Council's emblem. Elias thought she looked delicate, almost fragile. Greetings, Elias Carter, she said in a soft, calm voice. I have been assigned to you. Elias raised an eyebrow. Okay. You don't have to be so formal. Just call me Elias. She tilted her head, studying him like he was a strange creature she didn't fully understand. Elias, she repeated quietly. The officer spoke again. She will assist you in managing emotional strain, monitor your well-being, and provide any support you require. Dismissed. Without waiting for a response, the officer left the room. Elias glanced at Lyra. So, what now? I will accompany you to your quarters, she said simply. Right, Elias muttered. Let's go then. They walked back to his small room in awkward silence. Lyra followed closely, almost too closely. Elias could feel her eyes on him the whole time. Once inside, Elias dropped his gear on the bed and turned to her. Listen, I'm not really into talking about my feelings or any of that. So you can, just do your thing and I'll do mine. Lyra nodded. Understood. May I ask a question? Sure. She stepped a little closer. Is your bed large enough for 2? Elias blinked, not sure he'd heard her right. What? In Villari custom, sharing a sleeping space strengthens bonds and reduces emotional tension, she explained calmly. As your assigned companion, it would be logical for me to— Whoa, wait. Elias waved his hands. That's not really how we do things. At least, not with people we just met. Lyra's silver eyes studied him quietly, as if calculating something. Understood? I will wait. Elias shook his head and lay down on his bed. Great. This is going to be a long assignment. He turned off the lights. The room went dark, but he could still sense Lyra standing nearby, unmoving, watching him. Just as sleep began to pull him under, a soft voice broke the silence. Elias, if you change your mind, I will be here. Elias groaned. This is weird. He didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. Strange things were about to happen on this quiet base, and his odd little companion would be at the center of it all. Strange behavior. The next morning, Elias woke to the low hum of the station systems and the familiar dim glow of artificial daylight. For a brief moment, he forgot about the strange events of the night before. Then he saw her. Lyra was sitting in the corner of his room, knees tucked to her chest, silently watching him. She hadn't moved an inch from where she stood the night before. Elias groaned and sat up. Do you ever sleep? I require less rest than humans, Lyra answered softly. I preferred to remain alert in case you experience distress. Elias rubbed his face. Well, I didn't, but thanks for the concern. He grabbed his uniform and started changing, expecting Lyra to step outside. She didn't. She just stood there, silver eyes locked on him. Privacy, maybe? Elias asked, raising an eyebrow. Lyra blinked, confused. I was instructed to observe you closely for signs of emotional imbalance. Well, observing me without pants is a little off, Elias muttered. Wait outside. Lyra obeyed without a word, standing by the door like a silent guard dot. By the time Elias reached the mess hall for breakfast, word had spread. A few of them. Guys from his squad snickered when he walked in. One of them, Jace, grinned as he slid into a seat across from Elias. Hey, Carter. Heard you got yourself a Vilari shadow. Jace teased Elias' side. You have no idea. She follow you. To the bathroom, too? Almost. They both laughed, but Elias couldn't shake the weird feeling in his stomach. Other soldiers had companions, too, but none of them acted like Lyra. Most companions stayed in designated quarters or checked in once a day. Lyra followed him everywhere. She showed up at the shooting range, standing silently behind him as he fired at practice targets. She appeared at squad briefings, sitting quietly in the corner, watching with those calm, unreadable eyes. When he ran training laps around the upper deck, she ran too, barefoot, effortlessly keeping pace. Elias tried to ignore it, but it felt like a storm cloud was forming over his head. By the third day, it got stranger. He caught her staring at him in the mirror while he shaved. She asked strange, personal questions. Do humans experience fear when alone in darkness? How do humans choose mating partners? Is physical touch required for emotional stability? Elias would shrug or mumble something vague, trying to keep things normal. But deep down, it started to bother him. Late one evening, as he cleaned his gear, Lyra sat cross-legged on the floor nearby. You seem restless tonight, she said quietly. Yeah, well, this place will do that to you, Elias muttered. Perhaps you would rest better if I joined you, she offered. Elias dropped his cleaning rag. Look, Lyra, we've been over this. Humans don't just invite people into their beds after 3 days. Lyra tilted her head. But the council guidelines suggest physical closeness relieves emotional strain in humans. I am tasked with reducing your stress. I'll manage. There was a long pause. Then she spoke again, her voice softer this time. You remind me of someone. Elias glanced at her. Who? A soldier from my world. He fought well. He died young. For the first time since they met, Lyra's calm expression cracked, and Elias saw something almost human in her eyes. Sadness dotted threw him off. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Lyra nodded. You should be cautious. Not all on this station are what they seem. Before Elias could ask what she meant, his compad beeped. A message from his officer. Carter, report to Operations Center at 2,200 hours. Alone. He frowned. Orders. This late were unusual. He looked up, but Lyra was already gone. The room felt colder without her. There. Elias made his way through the dimly lit corridors. The operations center was empty when he arrived. The lights flickered. A strange humming sound filled the air. "Hello?" Elias called. No answer. He stepped inside, and the door slid shut behind him. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the screen. It wasn't his officer. It was Lyra. Her voice came through the speaker, quiet but firm. "Elias, you must leave the station." "What? Why?" "There are things happening here you do not see. Trust me." Before he could respond, the screen went dark. Elias stood frozen in place, heart pounding. What the hell is going on? A dangerous secret, Elias. Carter's heart pounded in his chest as he stood alone in the dark operations center. The room was cold and silent, with only the faint hum of the station's engines in the background. Lyra's message replayed in his head. "You must leave the station. There are things happening here you do not see." He stared at the black screen, waiting for something else to happen, but nothing did. After a few long minutes, Elias forced himself to move. He left the operations center and made his way back to his quarters, keeping an eye on every shadow and corner along the way. The hallways felt emptier than usual. He passed only a few soldiers, none of them speaking or even looking his way. Something about the station felt wrong. When he reached his room, it was empty. No sign of Lyra. "Where are you now?" Elias muttered. He knew he couldn't ignore this. If Lyra was warning him, there had to be a reason. And after everything strange about her, the watching, the questions, the following, it all seemed connected. I need to find out what she's hiding. That night, Elias made a plan. If Lyra wasn't going to tell him the truth, he'd follow her and find out for himself. Around midnight, he left his room quietly and slipped into the shadows of the hallway. The station was quiet, with most soldiers asleep and the lights dimmed. To night mode. Elias moved carefully, sticking close to the walls, avoiding the security cameras he knew about. Years of patrol duty had taught him where the blind spots were. He finally spotted her. Lyra was walking quickly down a side corridor, holding a small device in her hand. She didn't look like the calm, gentle companion he'd seen before. Now, she moved with purpose, checking over her shoulder as if expecting to be followed. Elias kept his distance, careful not to make a sound. Lyra reached a storage room and slipped inside. The door didn't fully close. Elias crept up and peered through the small gap. Inside, Lyra knelt beside a strange device, glowing softly with blue light. It wasn't standard council tech. Elias had never seen anything like it. She spoke in a language he didn't recognize, her voice quiet but firm. The words weren't being picked up by the station's translator system, which meant it was either ancient or forbidden. Who is she talking to? Elias pulled out his compad and recorded the scene. After a few minutes, Lyra finished speaking and switched off the device. She stood, looking around as if sensing someone nearby. Elias quickly backed away and ducked behind a corner. Lyra stepped out, looking down both ends of the corridor. Her silver eyes glowed slightly in the dim light. Then, without a word, she turned and walked in the opposite direction. Elias waited until she was out of sight before slipping into the storage room. The strange device was still there. It looked like a communicator, small, sleek, covered in strange symbols. It was active, faintly humming. Elias reached out and touched it. The device flashed once, then went dark. A strange chill ran down his spine. What the hell is this? He pocketed the device and made his way back to his room, keeping his head down the entire way. Once inside, he locked the door and sat on his bed, staring at the device that it didn't match anything he'd seen in council databases. Whatever it wasn't supposed to be here. Elias tried accessing the recording on his compad, but the audio was corrupted. The alien words Lyra spoke were scrambled, the file glitching whenever it reached that part. Perfect, he muttered. He couldn't report this to the officers, not without proof. And besides, something told him the higher-ups might already know something was going on. That's when he noticed something else. His gear was missing. His sidearm, comlink, and ID badge, all gone. Someone had been inside his room. Panic started to rise in his chest. A soft knock came at the door. Elias grabbed a wrench from his table and stood behind the door. "Who is it?" he called. "It's me," Lyra's voice came through, quiet and careful. "I need to talk." Elias hesitated, then opened the door halfway, keeping the wrench behind his back. Lyra stepped inside, her face unusually serious. "You shouldn't have followed me," she said softly. "I want answers, Lyra," Elias snapped. "What are you doing on this station? What is this thing?" He held up the communicator. Lyra's eyes widened. "You shouldn't have that. Too late. Start talking." She sighed, sitting on the edge of his bed. "I'm not who you were. Told I am. I was never assigned to you as a companion. My real mission is to observe the humans on this station and report back to the Council." "Why?" Lyra hesitated, then looked him straight in the eye. "Because the Council is afraid of you. Of humans. They believe you're too dangerous. Too unpredictable. They've already begun removing human officers from high command posts on other stations. Elias's blood ran cold. And you? Were you here to get rid of me too?" Lyra shook her head. "I was sent to watch. But after meeting you, I don't agree with them. You deserve to know what's happening." A long silence filled the room. "Then help me," Elias said finally. "Help me stop them." Lyra nodded once. "I will." The hidden mission is small. Room felt even colder now. Elias Carter stared at Lyra, still trying to process everything she had just confessed. She wasn't a comfort companion. She wasn't there to help him relax or deal with stress. She was a spy. But now, she claimed she was on his side. Elias gripped the strange communicator device tighter in his hand. "So what's the Council planning, exactly?" Elias asked, his voice sharp. Lyra took a breath, her silver eyes watching him closely. "They want to weaken human influence in the galaxy. They think your kind is too dangerous, too emotional, too unpredictable. The Council believes humans might one day challenge their control. So one by one, human officers are being replaced. Bases like this are being prepared for accidents." "Accidents?" Elias repeated. "Ship malfunctions, airlock failures, disappearances. And when no one's left, command positions go to species the Council trusts more." Elias felt anger rising inside him. This base has over 80 human soldiers. They can't just wipe us out. Lyra's voice dropped lower. "They already started on other stations." A heavy silence hung in the room. Elias knew something. Felt wrong these past few weeks. Missing gear, strange patrol changes, unexplained accidents. Now it all made sense. "You said you didn't agree with them," Elias said. "Why help me?" "I don't fully understand it," Lyra admitted. "Your people, you fight back. You care for each other. You don't blindly follow the Council's orders like most species do. I was told to watch for weakness, but I saw strength instead." Elias nodded slowly. "Then we need to get this information out. To Earth." Lyra hesitated. "It won't be easy. They control every channel on this station. Even your officers. Some might already be working for them." Elias thought about Commander Rail, the station's highest officer. Lately, the man had been cold and distant, avoiding human squads, and ordering strange security drills. Could he be part of it too? "Ben will find another way," Elias said. "You know the systems better than I do. Is there anything they missed?" Lyra's eyes narrowed in thought. "There's an old Emergency comm line in the main tower. It was used before the Council installed their new systems. It connects directly to Earth's military high command. Can we access it? It's risky. The tower is heavily guarded. And someone will notice if we power it up. Then, we'll do it fast. Lyra stood. I'll gather what we need. But as she moved toward the door, Ilias stopped her. Wait, I need to know one more thing. Why all the sleeping arrangement talk? Was that part of your mission? For the first time since they met, Lyra smiled. Just a little. No, that was curiosity. And with that, she disappeared down the hallway. Elias chuckled to himself, shaking his head. Aliens. But there was no time to waste. He grabbed his sidearm, a small flashlight, and the communicator. He'd meet Lyra at the tower dot. As he moved through the station's shadowy corridors, he noticed something strange. Too many guards were on patrol for this late at night. Elias ducked into side passages, avoiding their paths. It felt like someone was already on alert. His compad buzzed. A message from Jace. Where are you? Trouble's coming. Be careful. Jace was his closest friend on the station, another human soldier he trusted with his life. If even Jace sensed something, it meant things were worse than he thought. Elias sent a quick reply. Meet me at the old Kung Tower. No response. Elias felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Either Jace was caught, or something else was happening. At the top level of the station, Elias reached the door to the Kung Tower. It was locked with a Council issue panel, but someone had already disabled it. The door slid open, and Lyra stood waiting. I thought you might not make it, she said quietly. Not a chance, Elias replied. They stepped inside. The room was filled with old equipment, covered in dust, long unused. Lyra moved quickly, activating the emergency systems. Lights blinked to life, and a low hum filled the air. Once this starts, it'll trigger every alarm on the station, Lyra warned. Then we better be quick. Elias opened a secure channel. Static crackled through the speakers. This is Private Elias Carter of Galactic Base K 9-7. Emergency message for Earth High Command. Council conspiracy in progress. Human officers being targeted. Immediate action requested. Before he could finish, a voice came through the Cum Tower's entrance. Well, well. Look who we have here. Elias spun around. It was Jace, but the look in his friend's eyes wasn't friendly. Jace? Elias asked, confused. Jace smirked. Sorry, buddy. Orders are orders. He raised his weapon. Lyra moved fast, stepping in front of Elias. Betrayal and loyalty. The blaring alarms filled the station, flashing red lights across the walls of the old Cum Tower. Elias Carter stood frozen, staring at the man he once trusted, Jace. His friend's smirk didn't fade as he aimed his weapon. Drop it. Carter, Jace ordered, stepping closer. And you too, alien. Elias clenched his fists, his sidearm still holstered. Lyra stayed in front of him, her silver eyes locked on Jace without fear. Why, Jace? Elias asked, his voice tight with anger. You were my brother out here. Jace gave a bitter laugh. You don't get it, Elias. The Council made a deal. Said they'd protect Earth's colonies if a few sacrifices were made. Some of us just had to follow orders. Elias's stomach turned. You sold us out. Better a few of us than all of us, Jace muttered. Now move away from that console. Lyra glanced at Elias, giving a small nod. I can take him, she whispered. No, Elias said quietly. He knew Jace was a good shot. One wrong move and someone would die. But just then, the station shook, a deep rumble echoing through the walls. What the hell? Jace cursed, glancing toward the tower window. In the distance, outside the station, a large shape was approaching. Through the darkness of space, a human warship, unmistakable in its size and design, was coming in fast. Elias's comlink crackled. "This is Earth Warship Resolute. We received your message, Private Carter. Hold your position." Hope surged in Elias's chest. Jace's face twisted in shock. "That's impossible. They shouldn't have—" He never finished the sentence. Lyra moved like lightning. In one smooth motion, she grabbed a loose metal rod from the console and struck Jace's weapon hand. The sidearm clattered to the floor. Elias lunged forward, tackling Jace to the ground. The two men struggled, fists flying. "Traitor!" Elias growled, landing a punch, but Jace fought back hard, grabbing Elias by the collar. "You think this changes anything?" Jace hissed. "The Council will never let humans stay in power." Elias gritted his teeth. "Then we'll make them." With one final punch, Elias knocked Jace unconscious. Breathing hard, he looked at Lyra. "Thanks for the assist." She gave a faint smile. "I warned you not all on this station could be trusted." The alarm still blared, but now the sound of weapons fire echoed through the hallways outside. The Council's security forces were hunting them. Lyra moved to the console, fingers flying over the controls. "I've sent your message," she said, "and scrambled the security feeds. But we need to move." Elias grabbed Jace's sidearm and nodded Dot. They stepped into the hallway together, keeping low as armed patrols raced by. The station was chaos now. Soldiers shouting, lights flashing, systems failing. "Where's the safest place on this station during an attack?" Elias asked. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Hangar Bay 3. It has a secure launch tunnel. If your ship gets close enough, they can dock there." "Then let's go." As they moved through the corridors, Elias noticed some soldiers fighting each other. Humans against Council guards. Word must have spread. Some humans were refusing to follow Council orders now. The rebellion was starting. Reaching the hangar, they found a small squad of human soldiers pinned down behind cargo crates. Council security drones fired from across. The room. Elias recognized one of them, Sergeant Harlow. "Carter," Harlow called. "You're alive." "Barely," Elias shouted back, sliding behind cover. "What's happening?" "The Council's moving against us. Earth sent a ship." "It's on its way." Harlow grinned. "About damn time." Lyra raised her sidearm and took out one of the security drones with a clean shot. "Nicely done," Harlow said, raising an eyebrow. "Didn't think the alien would be on our side." "She is," Elias said firmly. With combined fire, they cleared the hangar. The squad regrouped. "Warship Resolute is docking through the side tunnel," Elias told them. "We hold this spot until they get here." The humans took positions. Lyra stayed by Elias's side. "You didn't have to stay?" Elias said quietly. "You could have left when the fighting started." Lyra looked at him, her expression softer than before. "I told you," she said. "I made my choice." The rumble of docking clamps locking onto the station echoed through the hangar. "A voice came over the speakers. This is Captain Maddox of the Resolute. We have a lock. Prepare for evac." Cheers erupted from the squad, but Elias knew it wasn't. Over, the Council wouldn't let them go without a fight. He checked his weapon and gave Lyra a nod. "Ready for one last stand?" She smiled. "Always." The last stand, the hangar, shook as the docking clamps from the Earth warship Resolute locked into place. The humans on the station had never been so relieved to hear the sound of a ship coming in. Elias Carter stood with his weapon ready, his squad beside him, and Lyra by his side. The red lights kept flashing, and the alarm still screamed through the station, but Elias didn't care anymore. Reinforcements had arrived. Now it was time to finish this. Across the hangar, Council security forces gathered. Drones buzzed overhead, and alien soldiers in dark armor took positions behind crates and machinery. "They're not going to let us leave," Harlow muttered. "They'll try," Elias said, loading a fresh charge into his weapon. The hangar. Doors hissed open, and a squad of human Marines from the Resolute stormed in, weapons raised. Their leader, a tall officer in dark armor, waved them forward. "Private Carter," the man called. "Captain Maddox." "Got your message." "Good work." Elias grinned. "Sir, you've got good timing." The captain's face hardened as he saw the council troops readying their weapons. "Everyone hold the line. Cover the civilians and companions loyal to us," Maddox ordered. The battle began in a flash of light and sound. Laser fire streaked across the hangar. Explosions shook the walls. Humans and council troops clashed, dodging behind cover and trading shots. Elias fought like a man with nothing left to lose. He took down 3 drones and 2 council guards, moving fast and low. Lyra stayed close, her aim sharp and deadly dot at one point. A council officer raised a plasma blade and charged Elias. Before he could react, Lyra stepped in, firing a clean shot into the alien's chest. The officer dropped instantly. "You still owe me a bed, remember?" she teased, breathless. Elias laughed, even in the middle of a battle. "I'll clear a spot." More human soldiers arrived from the Resolute, pushing the council troops back. The tide was turning. Then, a sudden burst of static came over Elias's comlink. "This is Commander Rail. All council loyalists, fall back. New orders. Do not engage the humans further." The council soldiers hesitated, unsure. Captain Maddox stepped forward, his voice booming. "Stand down now, or you'll answer to Earth's fleet." The council troops began retreating. The few remaining drones shut down. The hangar fell silent, except for the labored breathing of the human soldiers. Elias lowered his weapon, his arms trembling from exhaustion. "It's over," Harlow said, his voice filled with disbelief. The Resolute's medic teams moved in to treat the wounded. Soldiers embraced, cheering. Some cried in relief. Elias turned to Lyra. "You saved my life back there." Lyra looked at him, her expression softer than ever before. "I owed you that, and more." Elias grinned. "Well, you're coming with us. No way you're staying here now." Captain Maddox approached them. "She's a council agent," the captain said, eyeing Lyra carefully. "Normally, we wouldn't bring her aboard." "She's with us," Elias said firmly. "If it weren't for her, none of this would have happened. She's earned her place." Maddox studied her for a moment, then gave a sharp nod. "Fine. But she stays in my sight until we're clear." Lyra gave a small smile. "Understood?" The humans loaded onto the shuttles, leaving the ruined station behind. As the Resolute pulled away from the docking tunnel, Earth's fleet appeared from hyperspace. 5 massive warships, their weapons ready. The council ships nearby quickly withdrew, their commanders unwilling to risk a fight now that Earth's full strength had arrived. Elias watched the stars streak by through the viewing port. "Feels good, doesn't it?" Harlow said, clapping him on the shoulder. "Yeah," Elias agreed. "It does." Beside him, Lyra leaned against the wall, watching the stars. "So," Elias said with a grin. "About that sleeping arrangement," Lyra chuckled. "I told you. It reduces emotional strain." He laughed, the sound echoing in the quiet hallway. For the first time in a long while, Elias felt at peace that the war wasn't over. The Council would still try to control Earth, but tonight the humans had stood their ground and won. And somewhere deep down, Elias knew more battles were coming. But whatever came next, he wouldn't face it alone. The end.